Well, let's talk about this Scotland versus Ukraine game. Now, Steve Clark is the manager of Scotland. His team has actually won each of their last 6 qualification games, including a 2-0 success over Denmark last November, though Denmark had already qualified, so take that with a grain of salt. Since then, they've played twice, and this was back in March. They drew with Poland and Austria in friendlies. So this is going to be a big one for them. They do. Kieran Tierney's out for this one. I think there's another 1 or 2 players that are out. With regard to Ukraine, they got second in their group behind France. No big surprise. They got 12 points from their 8 matches in European qualifying. That finished 1 point above third place Finland. They have not been to the World Cup since 2006. They reached the quarterfinals of that, and they lost 3-0 to Italy in Hamburg. That's the World Cup I played in, flex of the day. And then back in the Euros, they lost 4-0 to England in the quarterfinals. And yeah, that wasn't a great game for them, but it seemed like that was their ceiling. That was as far as they were going to go. They have some talented players, of course. And I just wonder about the emotional weight that comes with this game because of everything that's happening with the Russia invasion. And then playing in Scotland, playing at Hampton Park in Glasgow. Heath and I have both played there. It's not an easy place to play. It's not an easy place. That is a real 12th man feel. And Scotland are very good at home in particular. Now, as I mentioned before, there are some injury concerns. Kieran Tierney plays for Arsenal. He's definitely out. Ryan Jack was the other one. He got forced to pull out of the squad. They have an uncapped Alan Campbell coming in for him, which is, you got that's a little dicey at times. Scott McTominay is probably going to be in central midfield. They got Andy Robertson plays for Liverpool on the last other side. You got Callum McGregor, Stuart Armstrong, Billy Gilmore, other players that can play for Scotland. And with regard to Ukraine, some names you probably know: Zinchenko from Manchester City, Yarmolenko, Yaremchuk, Malinovsky from Atalanta. They've got some players, and so this is going to be a great game. But I wonder emotionally if this is too much. Charlie, I come to you first. Who do you like in this game, and who do you think is going to win, and how? And do you think Ukraine have any chance?
I just think Scotland have the upper hand in this, playing at home, and Ukraine's coming in with emotion. This is more than a match for them. This is they're putting the weight of their country on their shoulders.
And it's a single match, right? Single elimination match.
Only 90 minutes.
One game,
90 minutes.
And then you play again on Sunday. Yeah,
that's right, against Wales.
When you
in Wales,
when
right?
you factor in that, it's going to be one hell of a game. They're coming with everything. They will empty the tank in this match. And although Scotland will have the upper hand, I wouldn't count out Ukraine in this situation. When you're playing with that much emotion, and so much pride, and the pressure to kind of be the bright spot for Ukraine that all Ukrainians can rally around, and not only Ukraine, the world, they're going to be the world's team if they can get to this World Cup.
So just so everybody knows, in the spirit of context, which is a big theme for me for whatever reason, this particular show, this is the first competitive match for Ukraine since November 16th, and they beat Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 in their final World Cup qualifier. Heath, do you think that lack of sharpness, match sharpness, I know a lot of these guys play at top clubs around the world, but not really being around each other obviously is an issue. And I do want to give a shout out to the Scottish FA has been fantastic, allowing the delay of this game to be played. Everybody being very cool about the situation and making sure that this was as fair as possible entering into this. But I feel like maybe that works against Scotland, knowing that Ukraine is the team of the world, and everybody kind of wants to see Ukraine have success.
Yeah, the thing is obviously we've been going through the invasion of Ukraine with Russia for a while now, and I just wonder how much that's worn on the players, that's worn on the fans. If you go back to November, like you said, Jimmy, that last game, that was when they found out who they were playing in a playoff. And it was supposed to happen in February or March, that playoff, but that's who they found out that they were going to be playing against. Like, that's been, 6-7 months now that they've had this playoff looming. And that's a lot to weigh on any team. And so to be able to have that home field advantage, I think, is obviously going to be a big swing for Scotland that gives them the upper hand. Whereas, again, I agree with Charlie that you don't want to play against the world's team right now. And Ukraine have a little bit of that sauce, and rightfully so, of being supported globally. But when you step into that stadium for 90 minutes, it's still a hard place to play, and Scotland can make you run. They can make the game fast. They can make it uncomfortable and play in a different way. They're willing to play in a different way than I think than I think Ukraine will want to play. And so I still have a little bit of this edge, which is funny because before I started really looking into this game, I was kind of Ukraine all the way, just on like pure
vibes,
you know, like I'm just like, they're a good team. They have a lot of good players and they're the world's team right now. Whereas now when I'm thinking about Hampden Park, when I'm thinking about Scotland, when I'm thinking about the Scottish fans and what the atmosphere will be like, it's going to be a very difficult place to go and get a result.
Yeah, I agree. You guys think that Scotland will win? I think it's going to be tight, but I think Scotland does enough to edge it. Charlie?
Yeah, I think ultimately Scotland wins.
There's a part of me though that wants to see Scotland or Wales go through, because then they have to play England, and we know that's a big rivalry. You say Scotland as well, Heath?
Yeah, I'm saying Scotland as well.
All right. I respect that. It means that Ukraine's probably going to do it. We just jinxed Scotland. Sorry, all of our Scottish fans. So let's talk a little about news and notes here towards the end of the show. Nottingham Forest and Ethan Horvath came on at the very end, in the last 6 or 7 minutes of that game, to secure a big 1-0 win for them to get them promoted back up to the Premier League. And again, he's a goalkeeper that's going to be playing. We have 7 players now, U.S. men's national team players, playing in the Premier League for this upcoming season. But 3 of them are goalkeepers, and all 3 of them are backups. So that's obviously a bit of a concern. Speaking of goalkeepers, Gabriel Slonina apparently being linked to Real Madrid, which is crazy and awesome in one hand, but then also that's another goalkeeper of ours that will be playing behind somebody else. So any thoughts here? Any news and notes?
Any more than one person. He's not going to be the backup.
We had generations of players playing behind somebody else in all positions in our national teams, guys. But I mean, it's hype, right? And we don't know much about Gabriel Slonina. We've talked about it. Charlie's been rightfully critical of his form and his feet and things that need to develop because he's a kid and he's got to get those games. Now, I think being in a professional environment, we know Greg was talking about how, you know, Zach Steffen in his environment is better than where his players competing with him are spending their club time. But I go back to the fact that Real Madrid once had a young guy named Iker Casillas, who was the youngest player to debut in the Champions League, which is a record that's been broken, and play in La Liga. And he did it around 17. He got called into the first team around 17 years old. He made his debut, I think, at 18. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he was obviously a big star and a huge part of the growth of Spanish football, but he was a young player that they gave a chance to. They still had to be willing to give him a chance. Donnarumma, a player that they had to be willing to give a chance, who's still quite young now. I'm not saying Gabriel Slonina is anywhere near what those players are, but I'm just trying to hold out hope that as a young player, he can land on his feet quicker or sooner than later.
Copa del Rey games. Get some Copa del Rey games.
I just don't want him to get buried for 4 years and now we go, well, he's still only 22 and like now he's going to get his, like, I know that's young for a goalkeeper, but that doesn't help us in the national team, you know?
No, it doesn't. Any thoughts on these news and notes here, Charlie Davies, with regard to our goalkeepers, Ethan Horvath?
No, you know, I think it's important that Gabriel Slonina goes somewhere where he's going to develop, and he's not going to just be, you know, it's a marketing ploy if he goes to Madrid. He's not playing. He's not touching the pitch. No chance. And if he goes to another massive club, he's not touching the pitch. Have you watched him play in the last month? No way.
But we could argue Zach Steffen's gotten better by playing with Manchester City, even if he's sitting behind Ederson. I mean, the guys he's going up against on a regular basis are ridiculous. Now, I know getting games are incredibly important and so vital to the evolution of a player. But for him, if Gabriel Slonina does go to Real Madrid, now this is assuming he's with the first team, they could see him and be like, all right, we need to go play with the B team.
I don't even think he's going to be a number 2.
But behind Thibaut Courtois, learning from him, playing with Ancelotti, I mean, it's crazy how much experience he could gain very quickly, but eventually he's going to need games.
Yes, he'll be loaned out wherever he goes, but I think he just needs to go to a club where he's going to play. He's going to play every weekend at a high level. That is how he's going to get to where he needs to go. Now, of course, there's the element of learning because he's so young. Going to a top club where the goalkeeper coach, the goalkeeper who's playing are going to look out for him. But how many times have we seen in our professional careers? I know goalkeepers are different, but it's almost like, all right, you do your own thing. I'm here to focus on me and my life. And you're not coming here to take my job. And, you know, you have the academy coaches who can help you. I'm not here to help you and help you grow.
Right. No, it's interesting. That's a good thought. I think if
It's
I'm Gabriel
tough, though.
Slonina and his family,
Yeah.
if Real Madrid came calling, of course you're gonna say yes, and I
No,
wouldn't
I'm
judge him
gonna-
for
Jimmy,
it.
because we
I
all
would
heard the
stay with
stories
the
about
fire.
Freddie Adu not taking Inter Milan. He didn't go to Inter Milan. He should have gone to Inter Milan. Freddie Adu should have. You know, what are the other like 3 or 4
That's
ones?
that's for
have,
damn sure. We know.
Well, yeah, he
Yeah.
should have gone
He
and done
should have
that, but
gone.
I don't know if it would have worked out anyway, given now what we know about him. He doesn't stick very long at any of the clubs. But
No,
maybe,
but
maybe
I think at that stage, when you're surrounded by those type of professionals and those
that's true.
coaches,
That's fair.
and they're like, you know, there's a box around you. You can't do this. You can't do that. You got to do this. And he wasn't in a position where he's playing with guys he looks up to.
Mm.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Now you go to Inter Milan and you're looking
He's
at
talking about you, Heath.
Crespo. You're looking at Adriano and Crespo and these type of strikers and these type of playmakers. Well, you're going to listen. And that ego goes out the door real quick.
Yeah. They don't give a shit about your feelings at
yeah.
that level for sure.